courage versus fear. We're going to take the values assessment that you have right now. You have your 10 circled words. You're going to take all those 10 words and write them on a fresh sheet of paper. Next to each word, you're going to write your personal definition for that word, maybe even with a few examples of how it shows up in your life. Next, you sit with that word and think and feel. Is this something that I want and that I create and that I love? And or is this something in my life that I feel like I have to have, that I should have, that I've been told is important to be successful or to be who I should be? That's going to be a powerful exercise. Take a moment and pause the recording and follow this exercise. Writing out the 10, writing the definition, and then sinking in. Next to it, you can write a big fear-based, courage-based, or maybe it's both. And both is obviously going to happen a lot as well. So take a moment, pause the recording, and feel into all that. And we are back. So I'm going to dive into a little example of what happened to me within looking at these values. And it was a few years ago, and I was doing this similar exercise. And honesty and integrity, I have always thought have been in my top core values. I would have said hands down, no questions asked. Upon doing this exercise, and it's intentional that you listen to this now after doing it yourself, is that I discovered that honesty was really both fear-based and courage-based. That this is something I had adopted for myself and found really, 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 really important. And it also was so ingrained and taught to me. During this whole program, I'm probably going to be bringing up my mom a lot because I'm going through mom stuff right now. And in this particular example, I was taught by my mom that you don't lie, that you always tell the truth, that telling a lie is way worse than telling the truth, and it's always going to come back around to you. Now, I do believe this to a certain extent, and I'm realizing that this ultimate, almost no way around it way of being kind of takes away the opportunity for boundaries. It kind of takes away the opportunity to sometimes be quiet, at least in my interpretation of it. So interestingly enough, as I've gotten older, here my mom is in my life a lot. As I said, I'll be talking about her. She's not close to me right now, but she lives close at times, helps with my daughter. And all of a sudden, I've learned in the past bunch of years that she accepts little white lies. She likes to tell these little white lies. And I'm going, okay, great. So all these things, I've thought all these years, you have to be honest, 100%. Lay things out on the table. And now here she is giving these little white lies. So I feel I'm going, what? In my head. Here's all this stuff I thought it was so important, and it's not making sense to me. So ultimately what I started to do was I sat with this word honesty, and I went, is this all courage-based? Is this a really useful, deep, core truth to myself? And I realized, no, there's a lot of confusion around it. I will be honest, and I am an honest person, almost to a fault, as we say sometimes. So it goes, where's that fault? And some of it is that I'm realizing it is dampering into boundaries at times. And ultimately, honesty is something I will always keep with me. I'm not going to get rid of this value and be like, no, okay, no more honesty for me. No way. Honesty is really important and helps me be the person I am today, which I love. And it's not a core true value of mine. There's a lot of fear-based within it. Integrity is another one. So integrity, I thought, yes. I mean, integrity me helps with working hard. And I hear it's doing the right thing is sort of the definition of it, and working really hard. And have I had integrity in life. I mean, I am a hard worker. I'm from Massachusetts. It's like I was born and raised with this grit, for sure. And as I sat with it and looked at this word with courage and with fear, I realized a lot of integrity for me is that I should have integrity. And that doing the quote-unquote right thing has been a little bit confusing for me, because what's the right thing? Who's telling me what the right thing is? What if the quote-unquote right thing that I feel like I'm supposed to be doing is not really what I want to do? What if it's not really in alignment with my core values and my true beliefs? That gets a little messy and confusing. So ultimately, once again, am I like pushing integrity off to the side and get rid of that value? No way. I am going to keep my integrity. That is awesome. It keeps me going and it is so useful. And am I also going to have a little bit more of awareness around how it shows up and what it means in my life? Absolutely. In discussing my day the other day, that was the absolute awesome day because I felt like all my values were being in connection, in alignment with. I talked about going to lunch with my boyfriend and then taking a nap. So I look at that, and in the past, I would have been like, oh, I shouldn't be doing this. I shouldn't be going to lunch. I shouldn't be spending money right now. I have so much to do. I can't really rationalize. Like I'm not showing integrity if I'm doing all these things. And kind of beat myself up. And what I realize now is, hey, look at what you're doing, that you are in line with your values. You're having connection. You're doing fun and enjoyment. You already got done all the bills and a lot of work in the morning. You check those off the list. So a little bit the opposite to me in some ways of integrity is to be lazy. And we're not going to go deep into shadow work, but this is a brush over shadow work. If you've either done it before or if you haven't, it's quite fascinating to think into all the different ways of being and start to accept that we are all of it, and be okay with that. Because lazy's always been a one that I thought, nope, I am not going to be lazy. And I was raised to not be lazy, all of it. And so sitting at lunch saying, it's perezoso to think of taking a nap after lunch. I finally, actually at lunch, I said, okay, I think I can be perezoso today. So accepting the fact that you can be both. You can have integrity and you can be lazy. So I'm going to kind of brush that away because that's diving a little more into shadow work, which is super fascinating and fun and interesting. Right now, I'm just going to say it in the context of the word integrity and figuring out if it's courage-based or fear-based. And that my hang-ups around this word and what it means has caused it to not lay in my top core values. Because there's sort of like a lot of messiness around it. Once again, I'm going to keep it. It drives me. It's probably my top 10 there. But it's not one of my core values. It's just like helps me shine. So what are the core values that help you shine? That just are you and who you are? And how awesome is this to figure out, especially if you're in some kind of a transition? If you're switching jobs, if you're going back to work, if you're stopping working, if your child is going to a different school, if your child's going off to school and you're here on your own without the kids, what do you value? Because then you can go into anything you're making big decisions about and know that as long as you are checking off your top 5 values, maybe there's only 3, maybe there's 4, maybe there's 5. If you're checking off those top core values, you are in alignment. That's awesome. Now I want to just give one reminder that if there are words that are not listed on this values assessment that you are super connected with, if the language is not fully suiting what you connect with, use the words that work for you. Once again, this is for you. And it's all about language. The important part behind the language is the action, the feeling, and the emotion. That's what's real.